deal with the drugs harshly. That's my word. And if you're listening to the debates during the 3 rounds of debates during the campaign, that's what I said. I would be harsh. And criminality. Now, I was very strict in Davao about criminality. And I was a prosecutor for almost 8 years doing trial work. I was teaching criminal law, criminal evidence, criminal procedure in the police academy. So it would not surprise you that when I came to the office of the mayor, I was quite really, given my background, I was very strict. And Davao City at that time was a very troubled place. 7 o'clock, and you can ask anybody from Davao. It's everybody's asleep. There was not a single entertainment house there, except for the bars in the slum areas. And there were a lot of killings, military men killing the NPAs and MPAs. They were being killed left and right. We used to lose in Davao City 2-3 policemen a day. So when I became mayor, I had to tackle the problem of law and order. And the first thing I did was really to talk to the communists. And I told him that, I do not want a quarrel with you. We became friends because when I was a prosecutor, I was only assigned 3 cases to handle. Because nobody would touch the case with the 10-foot pole. And that was military offenders, police offenders, and rebellion. Those were the only things that I had to worry when I was a prosecutor. I was not assigned to any other cases because nobody, I said, would touch the rebellion cases, especially against the military. So they know me well because most of the policemen were also my students. So when I became mayor, I told him, I was prosecuting the rebellion cases. So that whenever there's a hearing, we became fast friends because, you have to be courteous to everybody. And I would go to them and shake their hands. So when I was appointed OIC vice mayor, I was taken out from the prosecutor's office. And they made me OIC vice mayor of Davao City. That was when Corazon Aquino ordered the release of all political prisoners. And you know what happened? They all came to me and said, we need your help because we cannot go anywhere anymore. So I provided them on all the jobs. And Ivasco, the cabinet secretary, he was an NPA together with another priest, Father Tizon, of Leyte. They went to Mindanao to become NPAs. And they were chanced upon by the scout rangers and arrested. And they were about to be. And so when I learned, because I was the only one also assigned to do the preliminary investigation, somebody said, better hurry because they call it salvage. It's not a ship to be salvaged, but the term is salvage is to do him in. And I said, look, guys, he's a priest. Do not do it. No. Do not do it. So eventually, he said when he was released, he went to my office. But he's a priest and he's good at organizing. He became my technical assistant. When I was elected mayor, he was my chief of staff for so many years. Then eventually he went back to his home province in Bohol and became the mayor of his municipality. And now he's a secretary of the cabinet of this republic. That's how it is. So, but at that time, I told him to talk to your group. Say, I do not want to fight with you. But if you continue assassinating police and military men, there will come a time when we'll have to face each other. And I just hope that, it would not be a violent one. But since I am the mayor, I have to guarantee to everybody that. And so with the criminals, I said, it's a very simple reason. Do not do it in my city. If you destroy my city, I will kill you. And I told the drug industry people, do not do it here in Davao City. Because if you deprive society of the next generation of the youth, I will kill you. It is a matter of preserving people. And I was talking about it, I was only a mayor. So when I became president, I made the same statement. And you guys are lawyers. There's nothing wrong in saying that if you destroy my country, I'll kill you. If you destroy the youth of the land, I will kill you. And so, it's a threat. If you're committing a crime, if you're destroying my country, you are a threat, and I could do away with you. And that is what was being used by, she's mouthing it almost every day she gets the chance to say something. The wife of Samson, the wife of Samson. Look, guys, you know the Philippines. I'm sure you were here already. I was adopted by the PDP, moribund political party. It was not really moving except for the father and son, Pimentel and the Senate President. I became the candidate. I only had 2 governors in the entire Philippines. Maybe 3, but only 2 really confirmed. 2 ladies, Jaime Marcos and 1 lady in Mindanao, and only because of love. And I am not a single, I didn't have a single barangay captain or even a city mayor. Even in my own region of Davao, which was used to be one Davao, no governor supported me. And in the Visayas, I'm zero. Even in my father is Cebuano. Even in his hometown, our hometown, the Duranos were for Po. So after the elections and when the results were, and I asked my wife, I didn't have any money. And everybody will tell you that I did not. There are some, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not, wala akong, because I had this belief that I do not want to be burdened with anything. And yet I won, and by a margin of 6 million. Saan ito galing? Where did this come from? I never talk about any leader of giving money to run the campaign. All I did was to go around the country with the money that was, Sonny Dominguez was one of the financiers, but because he was my classmate. And I said, there must be something in this. I could only attribute it to God. So my victory really was a destiny. And so to all the people that are really urging, ouster, kung kudeta here, impeachment, go ahead. Because if I am ousted or impeached or whatever, that is part of my destiny. It only means that God made me president, but He said, you'd only be president for 2 months, 6 months, 1 year. I have no illusions about being ousted. I'm old and I do not crave for power. As a matter of fact, I am almost saying that do not be offended, you guys, Filipinos. If I were to get back in time, I would not. Yun lang. Kung pabalikin ako sa kahapon, ayaw ko na. I mean, I think I have no use for it actually. Without saying that kayom nangailangan sa akin, it's not that, but personally, I have no use for the presidency anymore. I'm tired of politics. You know, I have enough adulation and the clapping of the hands for 40 years of my political career, excluding this one, which is 6 years. I have enough of that praises and everything to last me a lifetime, to make me happy. I do not really personally now come to realize need to be president. But what prompted me to run was because I was looking at the political landscape and nobody there was talking about Mindanao. They were talking about technology and improvement, infrastructure, mounting all the promises that a politician usually give. But nobody was really very serious about Mindanao and drugs. Because when I was mayor, I was really very strict. And if you'd ask me that were there some dead persons along the way? Yes, of course. When you fight crime, there is always that. But you know, if you are asking me now if I killed people on bended knees with their hands tied at their backs, that is not mine. That is not mine. Remember, I mentioned during the campaign that there are police generals into drugs, and you might want to resign just in case I become the president because I will mention you publicly. And if you're kindly remember, about a few weeks before I became, I took my oath of office, especially became the president. There were already so many killings every day. Go back in time for me and read the newspapers at that time. It's very easy. You can. There's the new technology. You can just backtrack. Why? Why was there a widespread killing? And even after I became president, you should know the answer. We do not, we do not wrap people with plastic tape. We are not producing mummies in the Philippines for export. So what? Those are indications of torture. But why would we torture when we are going to arrest you because you are committing a crime? There's no need for you to torture. Or you just shoot him, fine, with one bullet in the head. Why go into this charade of wrapping people? It will indicate that there are tortures and forcing people to say something. Maybe who are the people that you have talked to about this industry? But I must admit that a third of the killings really happened during police encounters. And I know it because I'm not trying to pull my own chair. But in Davao, I used to do it personally, just to show to the guys that if I can do it, why can't you? And I go around Davao with a motorcycle, with a big bike, and I would just